We have our first very exciting session with the iconic CEO India Mediabrands, Mr. Shashi Sinha. Let's give him a big, big round of applause. While as we welcome him, we're honored to have him, and we're looking forward to great wisdom being imparted.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Anil and team, for inviting me here. There couldn't have been a better welcome from that whole video which Jio put up about how television is going down and how probably the viewing will be on streaming and Jio. So I couldn't have, and I've been asked to speak on the power of television and the future of television. So a bit of a contrast, but nevertheless, I will soldier on. And I will leave a message for Jio in the end, towards the end of this, on the video which they put up. So, call me old, and I saw the agenda for the day. Is the echo still? So call me old, or call me whatever, or call me because I'm part of the BARC team, whatever reason, everywhere I get called to talk about television. And the agenda of the full day ends up being digital and MarTech and AdTech and programmatic and all that. Having said that, I'm happy talking about television. I believe in the power of television, and I think it's a great story to tell. And I also believe, let me first put out a condition where, I'm proud to be this industry. I'm happy, I'm thrilled, and I'm part of the industry. So for me, it's not one versus the other. It's all about the growth of the industry grows, and we all grow along with that. And that's what I'll say in the end. I'll close it with that. It's not about you doing well or Star not doing well. It's about everyone doing well, because if we compete, there's a problem. So I gave this message maybe a month back at a forum in Delhi for the news channels. I said, guys, you compete, there'll be a problem. You confuse the industry. If you grow collectively. See how to grow the business collectively. These are tough times. Tough times means competing, and growing the industry, not competing amongst yourselves. So now that is spreading to our biggest property, IPL. But more on that later. So, television, I believe, has a lot of juice left in it, in spite of what people say. Think about it, some simple numbers which all of you are familiar with, but I'm throwing at you. 65% penetration in the country today, enough headroom to grow, And it's a huge story to tell, because I'm not saying 30%, but with affluence coming in, and with the power of, with the electricity coming into in India, especially in HSM, the northern belt, you'll see penetration of television going up, and I'll cover that later. Why I say it will not be just mobile devices, it will also be television, and for reasons which I'll explain as we go along. The other thing everyone talks about, that television is not growing, it's in a state of decline. So the first thing is that I've seen some baseline numbers of BARC, new baseline which has not been put out yet. There is a 6% growth on television. Think about it, 6% on 220 million homes is 14 million homes. So we are adding 14 million homes in the last 2 to 3 years when the last baseline was done. And at the same time, people who have gone away from television under this so-called fancy word of cord cutting is 5 to 6 million. So we are adding more to television than we are losing to cord cutting. And I'll cover that also, why we are losing to cord cutting. So people who have actually gone away from television by switching, cutting off their Tata Sky or cable connection are 5 to 8 million. A lot of people are doing both, which is connected TV, which has its own pros and cons, but I'll come to that later. So the thing is that, it's easy to say that television is decline. In absolute numbers, television is growing. It will coexist with other forms of distribution, so be it. So that's the next point. Yeah. And all this is a time when data prices are very cheap in India. The question is how long, and hope it doesn't happen, but if Voda is not a big competitor in the long run, if there's a bipolar market between Airtel and Jio, how long will data prices be what they are? If data prices go up, India is a price-sensitive market. As you saw at the time of NTO on television, people moved to free dish. Chances are there will be some people coming back to television. So it's going to remain a TV plus market. It's never going to become a TV minus market. That's my key submission which I'm putting out for the reasons which I mentioned. The other point which I want to make, which is a larger point, which I think goes away, these numbers which I put out, you'll be familiar with. The larger point which most people probably would know intuitively, but would not have analyzed. See, India is 90%, maybe more, single TV homes. Think about it, why the single TV homes? A lot of it is affordability. Not only about affordability television, where the size in the homes, big cities have small homes. Where do you people put up multiple TV? And we say if you have to do stream, I'll stream onto other devices. I'll stream there, whether it's my handset or whatever. But there could be another reason for this. And I'll throw some data at you to pull this off. As you know, TV is the highest consumption, individual consumption in a day. 3 or 40 minutes per day. It's higher than any other medium. But that's not the point I'm making. So while it remains number one compared to all other media consumption at 3 or 40 minutes, the point is that we at BARC also capture individual data. Household data. So at a household level, it's 5 or 40 minutes. In international markets, you'll find the gap between household and individual to be very high. In India, the gap is not much. It's almost 65-70%. So individual data, individual is 3 or 40 minutes. Let that sink in. While household is about approximately 5 or 30 minutes or so. What does that mean? It means that any point in time, there's co-viewing of television happening, which means approximately 2.7 to 2.8 people are watching television together. Now, this makes sense because finally, television is not only about viewing content and enjoyment, it's also about family time, doing it together. India is an auto-directed society, as we always are. We are into families. We are not individualistic like the Western world. We all say this is what's happened in US, this is what's happened in UK. And by the way, even in US, television viewing time is still consumption, the time spent is still very high. But here, our whole society is built on families, the Asian societies around that. And this co-viewing, which I'm talking about of 2.7, 2.8 is pretty high. This number indicates that appointment viewing is not going to go away in a hurry. It's always going to remain there. It's going to be a big thing of the future. So I, for one, believe, and while there is movement happening to OTT, and I'll come to that, and my own hypothesis why that's happening, but I, for one, believe that there is a huge opportunity for television to engage families like nothing else. Whatever happens on the handset will always be individual, but family viewing and family bonding time and family together, having dinner over TV or doing whatever else over TV or chatting over TV is going to be a part of our life, is not going to change in a hurry. And that's a big change. Well, numbers speak one thing, but that change is not going to go away. Now, finally, I come to the big gorilla in the room on OTT. So everyone talks of OTT numbers, and streaming is very big. And these are numbers, and I have a hypothesis why streaming is what it is done so well. But before that, streaming also today finally is TV. Most of its viewership is on connected TV. So the fact remains that a lot of that you're seeing is not going from TV. The form may be different, but it is on television. So connected television homes, as Joe themselves said, numbers may vary, because there's no data point on numbers, but 25 million, 20 million, whatever you may quote the numbers at. In that ballpark, 25 million is the homes. It's still lower than HD homes. So HD homes are 50 to 70 million. Yeah. Now, you may consider viewership dropping in HD homes, and I'll allude to that why it's dropping, versus no measurement of viewership in OTT. There's no third-party measurement there. So it's a bit unfair to compare, but the fact remains OTT has grown. And the gorilla in the room, why has OTT grown? So firstly, before I come to that, why people are not making money? If you think about it, all big networks on television are profitable, all of them. And how will this play out in the long run? Most of the OTT guys are not making money under the hope of investing in this country in the future. And will that hope ever be as Anil called out, with funding drying up, is that going to be a long-term play? So finally, is the content guys who are making money from TV will put that money back into OTT platforms and find distribution mechanisms to do that. That's the only way this model will succeed. Now, how will that work? So I think somewhere measurement in this country is responsible for the growth of OTT and not measuring, doing justice for TV. Measurement in this country has been lowest common denominator. It is very individual driven, where you go into the home and you put a meter in to measure individual homes. And most people who are on OTT, that top end creamy layer, the 20, 25 million people like us in the room will never allow a meter to be put into your home. Yeah. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what has happened is that we have measured the heart, the bulk, which also suited the large CPGs because that's where their volumes come from, that's where their growth comes from. So in a way, in a manner of speaking, measurement, the way it was designed, has been responsible for the self-fulfilling prophecy of looking at the heart of the country and not looking at the top end, the creamy layer. And which is a ready opportunity for OTT, and all of us need to believe what we see, what we do. So all of us in the room probably watch more OTT. So if measurement in the country, television measurement, third-party measurement has to be modified, which there are ways of doing it and which we are working on, It's a long-haul process, not easy. Whether you look at return path data, whether you look at household meters, there are many ways of fixing the problem. But I'm sure, basically, it's allowing TV to segment itself. So allowing the big broadcasters to segment themselves. There is, just now they're doing one size fits all. But if they have to compete with this gorilla in the room of OTT, financially they can compete because they're profitable and they will make the money which they make. But if the ecosystem, and the ecosystem which I represent in some manner, I joke that it's not my second job, it's my first job. The second job is what I do for Mediabrands. So, if we move at times, and which we are hoping and praying that it's a time-consuming exercise, but we will do, so then that will allow people to monetize those audiences. Ever since BARC has come into place, HD has gone for a toss. The number of homes have not gone away. Because the content, Anupam is a great show. It does very well, but it's not designed for those HD homes. So they will look for alternate content, which is OTT content, which is coming. Mirzapur will always do well there. But if I start measuring those homes, firstly, I don't have access to those homes currently. We don't have access. And when we have access to the homes, then obviously there will be, an opportunity to customize content. So a broadcaster may do two kinds of content. This may look theoretical, but it is in the realms of possibility. It takes time. I mean, all of you are familiar with return path. The government is doing a great job encouraging us to go towards return path. If you're able to pull out return path data faster, say from Tata Sky, Airtel homes, or premium Dash 4 cable homes, if you can pull that out, chances are there's an opportunity. So I say that the future of television in that context is safe. I mean, it's not, yes, digital has a role to play. I saw numbers being put out Monday, Tuesday. There were numbers put out by my friends. I say it on stage and I say it again. We may compete by day, but we are collaborators by night. So I consider both Group M and Madison very good friends. Atit knows both Vikram and me are very good. In fact, Vikram was calling me when I missed the ceremony. There, Vikram was on the call trying to do some industry work we're doing together on the print side in the afternoon. So I think the numbers on digital, I wouldn't say overstated, but the digital, because it's the thing to talk about. It's the great thing. It's a great story. None of us know what is happening in programmatic. None of us know what's happening in SME, where the growth of digital is coming from. But the overall sentiment is, like I keep saying, it's not about one versus the other. It's about the growth of the industry. So I personally believe there's a lot of juice. There are some structural flaws which broadcasters need to sort out, which we need to enable them to sort out from a measurement body point of view. And if that happens, it'll take time. There is a lot of juice left in this industry. So that's my total time. I will just close by saying, making a comment. Finally, and I'm a big believer of this, that, finally, the biggest property, sports is a big driver to television. I'm sure you've seen enough data which says that television is, that sports is a big thing. All over the world, people still watch live sports on TV. That's why it makes sense. And to me, TV is, I don't differentiate between going through SD or through connected TV or through Geo. It'll still be TV. I'll watch sport, which is what the whole connected story of Geo was. I think sports is what drives thing, So while we're getting into medium of TV, digital or streaming or whatever, the larger point is, will people spend, will brands spend, what Anil referred to, that in these tough times will brands come on and ride. And you've seen IPL is a big property. It's probably one of the biggest properties in the world, competing with Super Bowl and stuff like that. So I think whatever it takes to make it grow, whatever it takes to protect that is in our collective interest. So while we may compete with each other, but it shouldn't happen like what happened to the news guys, that, there are 10 number ones. As a result, clients like Atin and Lovely here say, we are confused, best to be away. So as it is a confusion, if viewership is dropping, but will a person watch on Jio or will he watch on SD? We don't know. A client said that to me. So the more confusion we create, the more my plea to the industry and to people not sitting in the room and not sitting in the room, my appeal to them would be go after IPL, promote IPL. Our future lies on IPL. That's the future. It's not about pulling away share from each other. If I focus on pulling away share from each other, I won't get very far. So that's the appeal. I will make that appeal to the people who put that video together and saying, listen, focus on getting what is your rightful share. You will get that share. But I'm a big believer that finally, I'm proud of this industry. This is where I started from. And I want this industry to grow, whether I'm there or not, in spite of me. So thank you, Anil, for this opportunity. Thank you very much to the entire team for getting me over. Like I said, I speak for 10. Unfortunately, I spoke for slightly longer. But grateful there. So I think the one message I'll say that the whole theme today should be about how to grow the industry. These are tough times, undoubtedly. I mean, whether you like it or not, I was saying to someone, I think I forget, that Ayo Shraddha has put out a wonderful video on layoffs. It's a reality, So the faster we face it, the faster we come to grips with it, the faster we say, listen, this is globally a challenging year. I'm sure we're a connected economy. There'll be some sentiment. We may suffer less, but there will be some sentiment. So this is the time for all of us to rally together and say, how do we come over together? For brands, there are a lot of brand custodians sitting here. How do we grow their business and how do people, partners like us, help them grow their business?
How do we reduce the confusion? How do we reduce the confusion? Because it's getting stronger and stronger, the confusion.
So the point is, well, I've just seen it, so let me figure out. The point is the industry leaders have to sit together. This cannot be done, with no offense meant, sitting in this room. Yeah? 3-4 key people have to get down together and say, guys, are we here to grow the industry? And I give an example. I mean, I said it. Now it's becoming a bit tough because this thing. I said it on a platform. Arnab had done a show in Delhi and PK, Vikram and me on stage. And I was saying, the problem with you guys is that you compete, you don't collaborate. We, and that's the line which I use, saying that we compete by day, that's a job. But we don't kill each other. It's not vanity. We collaborate. Probably I meet Vikram PK and the others, Anupriya, more often than I meet my own team leaders. So there's a collaboration, there's a lot of stuff. So you have to come from a mindset of what are we doing for the good for the industry. There's a lot of stuff which we've done, some cannot be mentioned here, but which is good for the ecosystem. We're helping the ecosystem grow. If we grow, then our irrespective companies will grow. But if I come from a mindset, I'll only grow from your share, then I will damage the product. I'm joking, I'm not joking. I saw this video, now I know why one of my clients rang up and said, he was on IPL last year. There's a lot of confusion. So I said, why? He said, no, viewership has gone down. I said, have you analyzed why viewership has gone down? When did viewership go down? Why? He said, no, viewership has gone down, so it's best to be on this. I don't know what will happen on streaming, so best to be away from. That's not the reaction we want. For a guy who's been on IPL for 5 years, 6 years, and it's worked for him, to say, I'm taking a pause because viewership is down. The more you say viewership is down, the more the confusion. Viewership may have been down, may not have been down.
Yeah, let's look at the price of a Super Bowl ad. And this year, I believe the viewership was the highest for the Super Bowl, if you look at international. I think it used to be a few million, now it's turning into double-digit million for a 30-second spot. In India, the realizations are very low. Brands want to get a they want to get more than a bang for the buck. They want to get 100 bangs for the buck. Whereas we're not looking at increasing realizations, we're looking at reducing realizations. How do we change that?
So can I answer your counter question? So brands, inflation came, input costs went up, correct? So the company where Atit worked for earlier, much earlier, took their prices up. Their value growth, they're showing 13-14% value growth. It's a business they're running. The consumer is buying. Volume growth may not have come. Volume growth may be 3-4% or 2% in the last 12 months, 18 months. But the P&L is very good. We're all working in it for, I keep saying to my team, there are three masters you work for. And that's true for any company. Clients, employees, and your shareholders. They can't, my problem is I simplify things very quickly. So, so if Unilever showed damn good results in the pandemic or 21, 22 or even now, primarily because they took their prices up. No one has asked them questions, why did you take the price of Dove up or whatever? That's what they did. And not only Unilever example I'm giving because they're the pole star of CPG marketing in India, but almost every other company did that. So price output ratio, someone who needs IPL, someone who needs those audiences for a launch needs them. Correct. So that's what I was trying to explain to this client of mine. That listen, you need audiences who work for you. You're a young brand. You're a sibling. A relatively younger brand. You want to create a mark. You have some 8, 9, 10% market share. You want a national presence. There can't be anything better than that. So that's the advice I'm giving to my clients today. You need combination of both. You take whatever combination of whatever requirements of connected TV, and which is what streaming they're alluding to, and take television.
Last question before cost of acquisition of rights is going up across, whatever, especially sport. In that dichotomy, with clients putting pressure on getting better realization from agencies, from the broadcasters and the platforms, there's that pull and pressure. Because like we said, the amount of money they paid for the IPL this year, I was speaking to somebody here, and he said that it's half the revenue was earned last year across one platform. Now they're looking at realizing twice the revenue this year from advertising investments.
Yeah. So it's got nothing to do with, you see, cost is one thing. One thing you must understand, pricing and cost are not connected. That's a business call you took. Now the economy has gone through a tough time, as you say, the theme. If this economy was the startup ecosystem was up and running, and five new startups were launching in the fintech space or in the tech space or wherever, they would probably be, that man sitting behind you itself would have been responsible for the success of IPL. If the economy was different, correct? So, so it's the decision you took at that point in time. And these are companies which can weather out storms. Both the Disney Network and Jio can weather out any financial storm. It's not a big thing. But my submission is as follows: help grow the industry, help grow the property. That's the simple point I'm making. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. I will. I saw it for the first time, but I will. I assure you I walk the talk. I never, ever just talk. Thank you.